Yo, welcome to the NS9 Pirates Trade Deadline Show on Pittsburgh Baseball Now. I'm your host, Anthony DiNardo. With me, we got Tyler. We got all kinds of news to break down, Tyler. I don't know if we have enough time. First pitch tonight, we got the Pirates and Brewers coming up. It only gives us about an hour.
I don't know how we're going to pull it off. Yeah, I'm sure we'll fill the dead air.
Big night. So which trade do you want to start with? Do you want to start with the Quintana trade, or do you want to end with a Quintana trade?
What about the one where they threw Chris Stratton in for fun?
So the Quintana trade.
Yeah, let's go there.
Let's just talk in general. Can we just... How do you feel?
It's not over.
The deadline is passed. 6 o'clock was the deadline today. However, as we all know, things can come through. You know, it is MLB. It's an old man's game. I'm sure a lot of faxes are still coming through and such. So maybe something will break. However, this lineup suggests maybe not.
Yeah. I don't quite know how to feel. I think if you follow me on Twitter, you would think I'm one of the angriest people in the world about this deadline.
You're just an angry person in general.
And that's also just being tired of the state of this organization. Deadline-wise, I don't really like what happened. I guess positives as of right now at 6:08 on trade deadline day, Brian Reynolds is still a Pittsburgh Pirate. I guess I will take that as a win today. Aside from that, I'm not thrilled, but I'm not overly upset.
That's probably the best way to put it. I don't think there's a whole lot of outrage you can truly have. It's not as if the Pirates, who's a pretty pathetic team right now, to be honest, doesn't have a lot of pieces to trade off to garnish a whole lot of a return. I mean, the pieces that you're looking at is like a Ben Gamble, right? Maybe a Marisnik, who's also injured right now. Like, you're not getting a whole lot in return for them. Quintana was your biggest trade chip. He was traded. After that, unless you got creative and, you know, like it used to, like a Reynolds was traded or a Bednar was traded, maybe even Will Crow, something like that. But, I mean, there wasn't a whole lot that they could really trade to get much in return. It's just the fact that it was Jose Quintana, at least to this point as we're live, that was traded, and that's it. That's it. As far as trades go, and Chris Stratton involved in that trade, which we'll talk about.
Yeah, I mean, you look down the roster, there wasn't much to really deal. We all know that. You weren't getting a haul for what's on this team. And I guess one slight positive I can look into is that they didn't sell off guys that are controllable. So maybe if you squint really hard, Ben Cherington thinks the window is coming sooner than we might think he does. Like, if I squint hard enough, maybe I can talk myself into that. It's just kind of a, I don't know, boring deadline. It's just boring.
For Pirates' sake.
Yeah, I mean,
if you're a Padres fan, it's fantastic.
I mean, it was just uninspiring from Cherington, I think, and it is what it is.
It's kind of run that. And by the way, this kind of coming in too. Not that it really relates to the Pirates and such, but Ken Rosenthal reporting that the Cubs are not trading Contreras and Happ. That's kind of interesting.
Now that would make me mad if I was a Cubs fan. Like, do something.
Unless, now hold on. Now wait a minute.
Yeah,
From the person who's arguing about keeping Quintana,
I don't
in
like
hopes
Contreras.
of trying to re-sign him.
I just don't like Contreras.
Okay.
Actually,
But maybe the Cubs do, and they're going to try to work out something with him.
They probably won't.
We'll see.
They're
Anyways, they're
broke.
staying put. They are broke. They're broke. But as it stands right now, I'm still not seeing anything come through for the Pirates. So I guess, yeah, I like to put it. It was just kind of uninspiring. I mean, it's the SpongeBob meme, right? When you're standing outside seeing everyone else play and you're not. But again, it's not as if this was going to be event changing, this trade deadline. It wasn't as if it was going to change the culture or change the course of this Pirates rebuild. It was there to possibly get something, right? Add some pieces or such. And all you have is a Katana deal, and that's basically it. As it was pointed out here, Mike in Illinois. I mean, this is actually what I'm more pissed off about. The trade deadline came and go. Okay, a bit. But the fact that Josh Van Meter is in the starting lineup tonight, I'm more pissed off at that. That's what I want to argue about. But we won't. This is the deadline deal. But that's what I'm pissed off at.
I just don't understand what the roster turnover that Sherrington was referring to. What the hell was he talking about? Like,
I don't know.
what were you showcasing with Van Meter and Yoshi?
Well, first off, we knew that was
What
happening, but second
are
off,
you
we talked
doing?
about the roster turnover and the guy, and again, so one of the guys we're going to talk about that got in the Katana deal, he's down in AA. So Holderman's coming up, so I guess we're going to see him for the first time finally. But it's just funny that yes, this roster turnover, you're going to see things much different after the deadline. And there's Josh Van Meter starting at first base
With his like 150 batting average.
if he's lucky.
And good Lord, the freaking Nationals get more for Josh Bell than the Pirates did for him. Pathetic.
Did you see that haul the Padres gave up for Josh Bell? All those prospects and
people on
Mackenzie
Twitter.
Gore?
My mentions are a cesspool.
I love that troll job.
Twitter's been around for like 15 years. How do people not get it yet?
Yeah, I know.
Anyhow,
that's kind of funny.
Katana.
All right, so we want to talk about the Katana deal?
Yeah, let's just get this over with.
All right.
The thing is, I think all of this has already been hashed out. But now we're just going to say it in voice.
Yeah, for sure. I think we give more opinions on it too. But I guess let's talk. First off, we heard the rumors that Quintana was being sent to the Cardinals. Then it was confirmed that he was sent to the Cardinals. Didn't know the return, which I said last night was like the most fitting for a Pirates fan base in the world. Because even as today, like you saw when there's trade rumors, you're hearing of potential packages. Maybe it's not released right away, but like in a minute you see the package. And of course, Pirate fans had to sit there and wait. It's a deal, it's a trade, and we didn't know for like 30 minutes until like the return was.
We didn't know the full trade until about 4 hours later.
Well, the full trade, but even like pieces that were coming back.
Yeah, it was a while.
I mean, that was like 30 minutes until you even heard of a prospect. So started digging into them. What is your take? Well, I guess maybe we should name the prospect. So they got Johan Oviedo and Malcolm Nunez back. Nunez was slated as the number 10 prospect for the Cardinals at the time, which, by the way, now
MLB pipeline. According to everywhere else, he's much further down.
And according to Pipeline now as well, he's number 11 in the Pirates. That just doesn't seem right based on a lot of things you're seeing. And the thing is too, like the Pirates, they do have a deep farm system. So that just doesn't seem right to me at all.
No.
But most people are saying about 25 to 50 range.
Yeah, I think Fangraphs had him at 18. He slotted in like 28-ish for the Pirates, somewhere in that ballpark. And I don't know about Baseball America.
Yeah. Plus, they only go to 30.
Yeah.
And I don't think theirs is updated yet either. I had theirs up. But anyways, so those are the two guys that came in return. Oviedo has pitched in the majors. As
38.
Far as,
sorry, Jim corrected me.
Okay, 38.
I was off by 10.
So about the Marcano range.
Yeah.
Yes. So Oviedo has pitched in the majors so far this year as a 24-year-old, basically in relief, 25.1 innings pitched, 3.2 ERA. Decent stuff, right? Decent stuff. And
Terrific slider.
Terrific slider.
Horrific control.
Yeah. He's
Not
been
a starter.
quite a failure as a starter.
So what are the Pirates going to do?
They're going to start him.
Yep.
Yeah.
We'll rewind and get back to the beginning. Traded for Nunez and Oviedo. What's your spin on Nunez? Because I know we've discussed. He seems to be the one that more people are intrigued about in this trade. And the numbers, if you just look at them without digging any deeper, they look great.
I mean, I'll give you the floor. You're the one who really dived into him. I mean, when this trade came out, I was really looking at Oviedo, and I think you took the other route, went into Nunez. So you're spewing facts to us in our group chat. So why don't you go ahead and talk about Nunez?
Yeah. So obviously the 17 home runs that he's hitting AA with the Cardinals. I almost said Phillies.
Don't know why.
So Fangraphs, I believe, has him at like a 60 raw power. There's definitely pop in the back. 16 of those home runs come at home, where I think if you just look on Twitter, everyone's broken down how small the park is for the Cardinals. He's also a guy, he's 5'11". I don't remember exact weight, probably about 220. Kind of positionless, corner infielder. Really, everywhere seems to look at him as more of a DH type of role, maybe first base. But the big thing is the guy did not hit away from his home ballpark this year. His slugging percentage was atrocious. He had a 663 OPS away from home this year. We got something coming.
Something, not to interrupt you here, but yes, from Jason Mackey. So he says Pirates have something that is definitely on the small side coming, I'm told, but for all intents and purposes, they're done.
Well, I'm sure we'll get that soon. Back to Nunez. I mean, the pop's there. Hasn't really shown it away from that ballpark. I think when you park adjust him, he's basically an average hitter. I'm not really that intrigued by him. He's really probably just a bench bat, a platoon DH, a guy that doesn't hit righties well, and he's on the bad side of a platoon, which makes him far less intriguing to me than a lot of people seem to think he is. So, as Barb would say on Shark Tank, for that reason, I'm out.
You did not just go Shark Tank. That's just going to lead to everyone saying Mark Cuban by the team. That's kind of where I'm at with you. It's one of those things, like you say, when you look, and the thing is too, like it stands out this year, like the home runs already is almost double like his total from in his career. I mean, as a 17-year-old in 2018, he hit 13 home runs. Last year, he hit 9 in total. And then this year he's already at 17 in AA. So like he's already surpassed and almost double like his high, so far in the year. Probably will double his 2018 rookie numbers. But you're right. Like when you first see and stand out and says, oh, wow, there's a power corner guy. That's intriguing. AA, still kind of young, 21, right? But I'm with you. When you kind of break it down, he kind of seems like a platoon guy. And it's funny, Jim's the one to put out there. I don't even know where Jim got it, but he tweeted out there. And like the comp was Daniel Vogelbach back. I say Bach, I don't care. Daniel Vogelbach. And that's kind of cool. But then again, like you're saying, but he hits lefties, not righties. So he's like a platoon DH, which you just saw you don't get much in return. Not that valuable. And he's on the opposite side of it. So it kind of puts a damper on things. Now, again, there are scouts. This is the guy that they potentially like. They got, and it's like, hey, maybe they see something in him. I mean, we poo-pooed Marcano. We didn't like it. There's something they saw in him. They've been trying to go after him. And even though I'm not we were right about believer, Marcano. Well, I'm going to say, even though I'm not a firm believer in Marcano, he has performed much better so far this year of recent. Verdict's still out on him, but maybe there's just something in this kid that they see. That's not translating right now, but I'm not that inspired by him.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of poo-pooed on Jack Sawinski, and I think Jack Sawinski, fourth outfielder. I just kind of thought he was organizational depth at that point. You go back to Brian Reynolds. I've probably have tweets out there calling him a fourth outfielder and just crapping all over that trade.
But to Reynolds, at
I
least
don't think I'm wrong
Reynolds,
on this one, though.
Reynolds performed everywhere. Again, like he didn't bat under 300 and ever
Correct.
until that down year he had. So like at least he always had performance. It was the opposite. The scouts didn't really buy into him, but he always performed. So not so much here. And again, this is like his best season so far you're seeing from him. And right, the splits are 17 home runs at home, 1 away. Like that big of a disparity is kind of like alarming. That's eye-opening right there. Why? And like you said, when you go to the park and you kind of can understand why, maybe this doesn't translate. Maybe this isn't a guy who really is like a 17 home run guy. So maybe back off a little on this power. And like you said, then of course he's hitting lefties basically. So like it just seems like he's a corner platoon guy. Now, mind you, Quintana, he's a rental. He's not a stud. He's pitching fair. You know, like I don't think for the people that were on board that you're going to get a top 100 back for Jose Quintana. I think you should have tampered those expectations for one, and this kind of proves that.
Yeah, there are some reports out there about Nunez having a good arm, possibly being able to go out and play in the outfield. I don't know that the body type's really gonna work that well for that, especially in PNC Park. But if that becomes an option, maybe he becomes more valuable. The real value in this trade, truthfully, comes from Oviedo to me. And it's all going to depend on how the Pirates handle him, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Which I think they're kind of going down a bad path with him already.
I guess we'll find out. We'll find out that they had to get their hands on him, Tyler. It's the phrase, I guess, this year in their acquisitions. They got to get their hands on the pitchers.
Dear Lord, did you not scout him?
Well, that's the other thing too. Drecker's the one who reported and said that this was the guy that they actually were looking into signing internationally. This is the guy that they have scouted for quite a bit.
And it's the same scouting department. They would go back to, I believe, Huntington, but it's the same scouting department. Yep. They have not overhauled it.
So you would think, right, like they definitely have some. But again, we got to get our hands on them. We got to get our hands on these guys and find out what they are. So he's going to go to Double-A now, just as if Holderman went to Triple-A, so they can get their hands on him and figure out.
I thought Oviedo was going to Triple-A. Or did I misread?
Oh, you know what? You're probably right. It's probably Nunez who went to Altoona.
Yeah, Nunez went to Altoona. Oviedo went to Triple-A.
You're probably right. I think, yep, Oviedo went to Triple-A. My bad. Nunez went to Double-A, which makes sense. So I'm with you. I think like there's more upside. Maybe it's just because there's still the unknown to Nunez. I think Oviedo just kind of is what he is. He's safe. He's in the bullpen. I think he's a bullpen pitcher, not a starter. I mean, I guess they're in a situation right now where it's the Pirates and they're bad, and let's just maybe try to find out if he can be a starter. But I think he's obviously ultimately a reliever. Probably not a high end like leverage reliever either, but it's a reliever. Like they're building a bullpen. They got Holderman. They get this guy. You already got Crow. You already got Bednar, right? So it's safe. He's going to be on the Pirates. He's got years of control. Nunez has that potential of maybe a higher ceiling. It's just I doubt he will get there.
So where I'm at with it, I obviously, from what I've said, I'm not a believer in Nunez. To me, if you can get a few really solid years out of Oviedo in the bullpen, the trade's really worth it. Because we're talking about 2 months with Jose Quintana. When I take off my rose-colored glasses where I just want to watch the team be relevant for, well, not even relevant, just watchable for a few months. If it's 2024 and Oviedo's out there throwing the 7th inning when the Pirates are good, it's probably worth it. To me, he's the piece that really could make this trade not something to make me want to gouge my eyes out.
Mm-hmm. I'm with you. Even though I think he's the safer one, his floor is like he's there. He's arrived. He's in the majors, and I think he's a mainstay in the majors. Just depends on what his role is. Nunez, we have no clue if he'll get there and what he'll be. Um, we've had people throw comps at us that hasn't been too pleasing.
No.
I mean, that guy made the majors, but he's in Japan, I think, now. But either way, Jose Ozuna. Yeah. So it's like, I'm not too high on him, but we'll find out. He's still young. Maybe there's some development that can still be made. But right, with Oviedo, he kind of is just like you said, this slider's fantastic. But after that, it's just a lot of meh. So, and it's funny, Anthony put it in here. Where's it at? I'm talking about the two-seamer. So what here it is. Yeah. So what I say last night, I was like, well, he throws the four-seamer, throws a sinker, he doesn't throw a two-seamer. So they're going to teach him how to throw the two-seamer and fix him. I don't know if that's going to do it for him, but he doesn't throw a two-seamer. And the way the Pirates have been going right now, it's like two-seam revolution again. Maybe that's what they need to get their hands on him for.
He needs to learn how to throw strikes.
There you go.
Can we get to the reason why I hate this trade?
So let's do it. So the fourth hour came out, and we found out the trade wasn't done. Tyler, they had to sweeten the deal because this low upside deal wasn't enough as it was. They had to also throw in Chris Stratton. I've been saying my piece on Stratton for most of the year. I said a little bit last night. I mean, I'll kind of give you the floor. I think that's where you went to. I hate this. So tell us why.
Just Jim.
I
don't know if that's real, but
I hope not. Blue Jays 13's official.
Nope, it's real. Persac just tweeted it.
Oh God.
I'm gonna be honest. I don't know who that human is.
The Pirates threw cash to the Blue Jays for Jeremy Beasley.
He is in AAA. He is a reliever. And Fangraphs is apparently overloaded right now. Because it is not working for me.
So clearly he made his debut in 2020. Because it's not loading for me either, but I see the 2020 to 2022. So he's been in the MLB. Yeah, he's 26 years old. So he made his MLB debut in 2020. I mean, clearly the Blue Jays, they made a lot of moves today, pitching, especially relievers. So probably a guy they don't need. Charrington's very familiar with the Blue Jays organization. And so he's pitching MLB this year, 15 innings, got a 4.8 ERA. But in AAA this year, 38 innings, 1.89.
15 innings in the majors this year, 11.4 Ks per 9 and 3 walks per 9.
Yep. He does. I mean, historically, he does strike out a lot of guys, walks a lot of guys.
Whatever. It's just another hoarding project by Ben Cherington.
Yeah.
At some point, you got to give up on some of these dudes. Someone needs to submit him to hoarders. He needs to be on that show.
Right.
Okay, Chris Stratton.
All right, we're not going to talk much about this trade because it's really nothing.
Yeah, I don't care.
So Stratton, tell us.
Yeah. What'd you say, the fourth hour or the what's the phrase?
Yeah, on the fourth hour, the Chris Stratton was involved, right? And we found that out from a Cardinals beat writer who said, whoa. Sources say there's actually Chris Stratton being involved in this also.
Because as you said, the Pirates really had to throw a sweetener into this bad boy. And what I said was the people that are praising this trade because of Oviedo's success this year are discounting Stratton because he's had a poor results-wise year. Chris Stratton's been pretty good for 2 years. And they're throwing it all out the window because he's had a poor results-driven 2022. All the underlying numbers are there. I'm not saying he's going to turn it around, but he probably will now that he's outside this organization. because that just seems to happen. But the big thing about this to me is that they just didn't move him last year if they were going to do something like this. His value was there last year. I'm not saying you could have got really anything that great, but they also traded Austin Davis for Michael Chavis. Ooh, that rhymes. I just noticed it.
Look at you.
Instead, they just tossed him as a throw-in in a deal for another reliever and a bench bat.
Hopefully.
A hopeful bench bat. And I know people don't like Stratton. There's stuff there to like about him. He's far and away the least of the problems with this bullpen. He's a fine little reliever right now, and if he figures it out, he would have had value for you, which he did figure it out last year, and he still has another year of control, doesn't he? If I'm remembering correctly. So, 1, you screwed up not trading him last year. 2, you trade him at his lowest value when all of his underlying numbers show that he's probably better than what he's shown. And 3, you just tossed him into a deal for nothing.
Right.
They just 3 for 3. Love it. Great job.
That's like where I'm at. I've been saying for the longest, and I know Jim was on it too. I feel like I lasted maybe a little bit longer, but if so, maybe like a week. But it was like, listen, like Chris Stratton, the results, like everything you said is exactly what it is. Like the results aren't there, but everything else is pretty much lining up where, like he's been doing all year. And it really wasn't until like, I swear, like a week and a half ago when I was kind of like, you know what? Like maybe it just isn't. Maybe all relievers, like they all have a shelf life. And that's why I feel like you and I, especially more than maybe Jim on this show, are more inclined of trade relievers when they're at a peak, which I know is why you and I had a legit argument for like a Bednar trade this year, especially if you're not winning. And clearly the intention wasn't to win this year. And it's clearly not for next year either when, you know, Stratton's in the last year. So it's kind of like you're saying, like, so why didn't you capitalize last year on it? So there's to go to your point on that, like they should just went last year and traded him. So they would have got some value. But back to this year, maybe he's just done. Maybe he is done. I'm falling more in line with that. But he still has some crazy movement. And he still has, like, he's still in the 100 percentile basically for like his spin rate. And like that hasn't gone away. And he's one of those guys, just like you're saying, like I'm over him in the sense of trying to stick up for him. Maybe he just is what he is and we can move forward and it's a bad season. But it's a guy that I'm fearful he goes somewhere else and it's a tweak here and there and he becomes a good pitcher again. And that's why I felt like you didn't need to add, like you did not need to add him for a sweetener. Like he should have easily been able to go in his own separate trade to just get something else for whatever it was, which by the way, isn't going to be international money. I've been touting that for a bit of time. I found out today. So thanks, Ethan. Actually, thanks Bucks in the basement for pointing out to me what Ethan told them as well. Yeah, you can't trade international money again. So, and that's why I haven't seen any been traded. But I just didn't see a reason why you had to add a sweetener to this deal to begin with.
Yeah. They probably could have just moved Stratton on his own. We watched him trade Clay Holmes last year, and Clay Holmes was terrible. I know what he turned into. He was awful.
He just needed a little tweak, right?
Exactly. And Chris Stratton is a guy that has kind of shown a little tweak, and he might be an effective reliever again. I would have preferred to hang on to him and figure it out with him. But if you're going to trade him, the way they did it is what is obnoxious to me.
Like I'm with you. It all comes down again. The trade is just uninspiring, but it's Jose Quinton. Like you have to understand what it is. It seemed like a fair trade. You know, when it came, I think my thing too was like, meh. You know, like there's not a whole lot of upside to it, but it's a guy who's in the majors now. Another piece. It's a fair deal. It wasn't a Carter Benz. You know, as we were kind of fearful for that, this guy's never going to make the majors, which Carter Benz probably isn't going to. You know, at least we know this guy's in the majors already. He's there. Now, the quality of a player he'll be, probably very minimal, but at least he's there. So again, I don't think you needed to add, like, how could you not pull off that trade without a Stratton? Like, it's still Jose Quintana is performing.
Sorry, I was just reading the comments.
Oh,
Yeah, I just don't understand exactly why he needed to be tossed into that deal. It doesn't make sense to me. And they just completely fumbled the entire Chris Stratton situation. And I know we're on here talking about Chris Stratton. It's probably the least important thing of all time.
to be honest, this is overreaction because
Yeah,
in the big
it
picture, it
definitely
is
is.
just Chris Stratton.
But it was just Clay Holmes. And we were touting that as a great deal. This one, you know what? Reverse psychology, baby.
There it
Chris
is.
Stratton's going to go suck.
And again, I understand that's a bit of an overreaction because in the big picture, it is just Chris Stratton. It just, I don't see why you couldn't do this deal with Quintana alone and then try to find some side for Stratton. I mean, hell, again, like we keep going back to Davis brought in Chavis, right? Like, I understand you can't have a team full of Chavises. That's why also, like, I wasn't a big proponent on like Andujar because everyone's saying Andujar, get Andujar because he could be like Chavis. And it's like, well, you don't need 26 Chavises on your team. Like,
Right.
you don't want that. Like, you already have a Chavis. So don't get another one. We need better players. Inspired to do better than Michael Chavis going forward. But hey, just some flyer, just some single A flyer to go on, since of course now you're not getting international dollars. But that kind of is what it is. That was the deal. Overall, even with Stratton, it's not that I hate it. It's just I'm kind of puzzled by it, but it's not terrible. I don't think it's great. There was no like fleece job. There was no wow, like we got that for Quintana. It was just it's a trade and it benefits the Pirates. I will say this though, like the one things we've talked about and harped on is how easy it is to build a bullpen. That's what the Pirates haven't had. They're getting that. They are.
We'll see.
It's coming.
Yeah, and we'll talk about it at a later date, but I just don't love the way they're going about it. I don't like giving up real players for relievers.
I understand that, but Vogelbach still is a platoon DH also. I mean, for the people that are out there saying, hey, let's buy prospects, it's ultimately what they did. They purchased Quintana, they purchased Vogelbach, they flipped them for useful. Now you can determine the quality of use though they are, right? But they flipped them for useful people for when they're actually going to compete.
Anthony asked a terrific question. I don't know the answer to that one. I would probably say Nunez because he can play more than first base as of now, but any of the strikeout numbers aren't there.
I simply say Malcolm Nunez could be a lefty platoon DH. Mason Martin, I don't feel has a future in baseball.
Yeah.
Or facing lefties, yeah, though. But like, I don't feel Mason Martin has a future in baseball. You and I and Jim, of course, like we've all been. You want to see it, but we're very doubtful because of the profile that he provides. Like, I just don't see that translating. And this year in AAA was, I mean, it's exposed. It's a heightened level that I just don't believe it. So even if we're poo-pooing on Nunez that he has minimal value in this, I think that value is tremendously higher than what Mason Martin could and will provide. Now, I think Martin has the higher ceiling. I mean, theoretically, like if he could do the one thing, which is cut the strikeouts, like he could be a 30, 40 home run guy in the majors. And that's incredibly valuable, even if you're a 180 hitter. I mean, Joey Gallo, I know is traded by the Yankees, but like they got an actual return for that.
Yeah. But he still sucks. So not Joey Gallo, Mason Martin.
Right.
Joey Gallo would have been like if the Pirates trade for Joey Gallo, he would have been like the second best player on his team.
Well, yeah. Well, maybe third.
He would have been the second best hitter on this team.
Third.
He would have been the second best hitter on this team.
Reynolds, Jason DeLay, Joey Gallo.
Fair. You got me. Checkmate.
Right. But anyways, that's a very good question. And that's where I'm at. Like, I feel Nunez, even with his limited capabilities, that's why. It's just simply because I have zero faith anymore in Mason Martin.
No, I think Nunez had probably a better future as a major leaguer before the universal DH, truthfully, because the bench bats kind of just died. Like a pinch hit role is kind of dead now. I think he had a better chance without the DH, which is weird. Because he's on the wrong side of a platoon of a DH.
Right.
He could have, like, I don't know, not a Matt Stairs career, but he could have been a bench bat that could play some corner places.
Yeah.
Now he's just kind of a chubby guy that could play on the wrong side of a platoon.
Right. Well, there's nothing else to talk about. Here we are, 35 minutes talking about just the Jose Quintana deal.
I told you.
I wish there was, but Gammel's here. I mean, Dylan Peters is still here. Chase DeYoung
More
still
career
here.
at bats. Malcolm Munoz or Josh Van Meter. Van Meter.
Josh
easy.
Van Meter.
Josh Van Meter is going to be here when Nunez is coming up.
He's in the lineup tonight again. Going back to what Mike in Illinois said, like the DFA should be here.
Dude, we got to have a normal, like, North Shore 9 Live.
We'll get one. But, yeah, Yoshi, still the Pirates currently. Van Meter, still the Pirates currently. So it's not even, I mean, you knew they were going to trade them. There's nobody's going to take on them for a trade. But there's not even like DFA'd even. They're still here. They're still here.
Yep. And playing.
What? And starting, right? Thank God at least Van Meter's batting, what, 8th tonight? Maybe 7th? At least he's not batting lead off or second or clean up. All right. Should we get out of here?
Yeah. It's been 40 minutes talking about one trade. That really doesn't move the needle whatsoever.
It doesn't. It doesn't. But we knew nothing was going to, unless there was a Bednar or Reynolds trade or against maybe a Crow or something else. But anyways, last words, Tyler.
Come back tonight. We'll got the post-game show. Me and Cody.
There you go. Cody will make his debut doing the post-game with you.
I'm sure I'll be about 8 beers deeper by then.
Probably more. How about 3 beers for every strikeout from Josh Van Meter?
I don't have that in me.
Corbin Burns, I need you to get 8+ strikeouts tonight. We'll see you guys in like 4 hours. Thanks for watching. See you later. Bye-bye.
Peace out, Girl Scouts.